Hello, everyone. Welcome to All In on Real Estate. I'm your host, Aaron Goins. I started this meetup because when I was in the military, no one in my circles talked about real estate. A lot of times we talked about debt, but nothing about real estate. And I want to start a meetup where people can learn about real estate and start building generational wealth for them and their families. I'm very, very excited for our guest speaker today, Mr. Andy Duckworth. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Thank you, man. We have connected before, me and Andy. Matter of fact, we connected today at a veterans event. So I'm very, very excited to talk about something near and dear to my heart that I've been trying to project to a lot of people, and that's a VA loan. So let me ask this right away to you. How did you get started with the VA loan process? What started you right there?
Good question. That came about kind of trial by fire. I definitely didn't go out seeking VA loans. I didn't know anything about VA loans. As a new lender, I've been in lending about 4 years now. And as a new lender, you just, you try and get any loan you possibly can. Doesn't matter FHA, conventional, investment, you name it, first down payment assistance. You're just trying to find any business, I ran across a veteran that was getting PCS'd from Alabama to JBLM. Very intelligent young man for the Army, had just graduated MIT, was a Apache helicopter pilot, and wanted to buy a fourplex with his VA loan. And I just was blown away by it. I was just like, what? And he already had a rental property in Alabama that was backed by VA, and was looking for a second one. And just kind of right out of the gate, pretty early in my career, I got through a bunch of hurdles on that loan. You got thrown out of underwriting a couple times, and I just went to bat for this veteran because, the underwriter wasn't going to go to bat for him, and the bank wasn't going to go to bat for him. It really comes down to individual loan officers to fight for their clients and the rights of their benefits to get utilized fully. And I didn't really understand what I was doing, honestly. I was just fighting because I thought it was the right thing to do. And long story short, we ended up getting through underwriting, and I ended up getting his house closed, and we got it closed before his PCS orders became due here to Washington, and was able to move into his fourplex. He flipped out the basement, turned it into an Airbnb. So now he's got a 5-unit place on this place. And we just, he's client for life now. I had no idea he was shopping me probably 10 other lenders. And I didn't even know what that meant really at the time. I was just super green. And he went with me, just appreciated my no bullshit service and approach to lending and offering information. And, made him feel like he was in the driver's seat, but also he knew that I was fighting for him every step of the way to make sure that the loan went smoothly and that he was able to utilize his benefit. And that relationship grew, and we've pushed the envelope several times. I've helped him on 3 different loans now in a period of the last couple, maybe 2-3 years. And he has now 3 active VA loans, which everybody told me was impossible to do. They're all active, all at the same time. And I've learned a lot through helping this one client in particular on how to push the envelope and how to better support veterans. And it's just kind of grown from there. One after another have kind of found me over the years. And now I'm doing briefings on JBLM. I'm helping, I'm doing briefings one-on-one, kind of like this atmosphere, Zoom all over the country to veterans, educating on their benefits. And it's just become a real passion of mine to serve here on the home front for those that have earned this benefit and fought for it, and unfortunately just aren't getting represented correctly. So it makes it's very rewarding.
I brought you on because I'm really, really passionate about the VA loan. But only 22% of all veterans use their VA loan. Why do you think that why do you think that so little veterans use their loan service like that?
I heard you say that today when we were at Boeing, and I was not aware that the percentage was that low. If I were to think about it, I'll tell you something interesting is I'm doing like I said, I'm doing these classes, briefings all over the country on Zoom. And, you know, I did one a couple weeks back for a lawyer in the Navy. Had no idea what his benefit was. I did one for a guy that runs an Australian stock exchange, basically, who's American veteran, had no idea. You could tell you anything about his investments, but he had no idea what his benefit was and how to utilize it. You know, he didn't even know it was, you know, nothing, didn't know it was zero down or anything. And, you know, part of it's just lack of education in the military, you know, directly when they're serving. And then I think from talking to guys that have gotten out of the military, a lot of it's lack of information, not just lack of information, but the wrong information. Discourages veterans from using their benefit. You know, they talk to a buddy, they got turned down, they got denied for the wrong reasons, and then that kind of that myth kind of circulates, and that the lie kind of circulates and rotates. So it's hard to break free of a lot of these myths around the loan. And then, you know, probably third variable I've found is that maybe there's definitely an emotional component with some veterans, that maybe they don't feel like they earned it, or maybe they don't feel like they want to take from the government, or they don't, maybe there's some bad memory there. They don't want to really go back to thinking about their service based on some pain and suffering that came along with that. So some of it's just honestly coaching that they're valuable, that this benefit is the best loan benefit in the country and they've earned it, and really just empowering them that they deserve to use it, and not just once, to use it again and again. And so I think those are the three biggest pieces to it.
So you said today that there's a lot of lingo that goes with the VA loan. Can you just explain a little bit of the benefits for somebody who let's go with two things. Somebody who is just worried about getting a house, and then somebody who wants to build wealth.
Say the question again.
So could you explain the benefits of somebody who just wants to get a house? And then also, could you explain the benefits of somebody who may want to start building wealth?
Yeah, I think they go hand in hand. On, you know, it's hard to really separate the two, but a lot of people don't think about generational wealth. So I think in the average public eyes, they're separate topics, but I think you and I both know they're really blended topics. But first step is, you know, it's the biggest part of, you know, I think it's a staple of the American dream, is to own your home and provide a home for your family. And whether that be you know, a yard and room for the dogs, or and trees, or a condo in the city, and you know, whatever that is, everybody's dream is different, but the dream is there. Nobody really enjoys paying rent and having to ask permission to paint the walls, etc. So the first step, you know, is just empowerment, the ability to have something that's yours, that you can make better, that you can do what you want and to the house. And then as far as generational wealth, they're inseparable. The longer you keep that home, the more equity and wealth you're creating for yourself and your kids, should you hang on to that home. Or even if you sell it down the road and you take a chunk of equity and put it down towards your next purchase. So you could do immediate wealth or long-term wealth. There's several layers to it. Yeah, so there's multiple layers. You know, you could leverage it. Yes, a home is a liability, and yet it's interesting. Whoever I think that was Peggy. So to answer that, so interestingly enough, sure, I tell you about generational wealth and regarding homes. There's hedge funds all over the country right now that are shifting hundreds of millions of dollars out of the stock market, because those stocks and investments are very unreliable, and they're buying up entire neighborhoods and liquidating and paying cash for real estate all over the country as an investment, as an asset, not a liability. They're looking long term. They don't want the average American to own homes anymore. The top 1% are actually liquidating, and hundreds of millions of dollars are being injected into real estate so they can rent homes back to the average American. And they're not looking at 3 to 5 years. The average American is going to live in a home 3 to 5 years before they sell it and move again. They're looking 20, 30 years down into the future, holding that asset forever. To me, that's a problem. That's a real problem for the average person that wants to buy a home. It's going to jack and cause additional inflation and overvaluation in homes. It's going to create additional competition, and it's going to make it harder not only for veterans to secure financing, but for the average first-time home buyer. So I still strongly believe in the value of owning a home. It's actually an incredible asset that you can leverage in many ways.
It's not an asset.
Could you, okay, do you have a client or something like that maybe, okay, let's go back to that client who has 3. What, how did that person get to the point where they had 3 loans going all at once?
A lot of willpower and persistence and determination. You know, really for an active duty service member, this is the easiest way, I think, to create an investment portfolio and generational wealth is to simply buy a property every time they get PCS'd and stationed somewhere. The biggest fear is, what am I going to do with the property when I leave? I don't really want to rent it. I don't want the stress of selling it. And the reality is, you know, if you buy close to base, there's a massive, I can't speak for the whole country. I'm pretty sure that there's a general housing crisis across the country, but specifically around JBLM, Joint Base Lewis McChord, and Tacoma, there's no housing. Literally, you could get PCS. I've been briefed on this from guys that are on base right now, and it blows my mind that you could get PCS to JBLM and have nowhere to live. Essentially, the barracks are full. It's 6 to 12 months to get an on-base house, and if you're lucky enough to get a barrack, you could easily get bumped and kicked out, and based on seniority and various things. And so what's happening is hotels around JBLM are actually giving vets a room to rent in exchange for exactly how much their BAH housing allowance is. I mean, that's cool. Hotels are pitching in, and this is like kind of solving the problem. But I mean, who wants to live in a hotel room, like, right? While they're serving our country. Like, if you could just buy a house, and if you do move and get PCS somewhere else, you could easily rent it out room by room or the whole thing to another veteran that needs a place to live that's coming and going as well. So I think you could easily tap into the needs across the nation within the service community, and hang on to that asset essentially. So he did that. Alabama, came here, did it again here, did it again here, and just, he's not normal. He's a very savvy investor, so he's definitely taken it a whole nother level. But you can 100% have more than one VA loan at a time. The only question comes into whether or not you can go 0 down on the second or third or fourth loan. There's no max to how many VA loans you can get. There is a max to how much eligibility is available for that loan, which means typically by the third time, you're going to have a small down payment required. In his case, I think it was like 7% down on the third loan, but it's still no mortgage insurance. You know, instead of doing 20% down on a standard conventional loan to have no mortgage insurance, you know, he did 7% down. I mean, that's still a phenomenal deal in the bigger picture of things. So there's a ton of flexibility there, and as long as I can prove to my underwriters that second home or that third home is a benefit to the veteran or the veteran's family, I can get that loan done. And that's just incredible.
Love it. I love it. I love it.
We got a few questions rolling in. What are you want to read off some of those?
Yeah. Give me about 2 more
okay.
questions out. We'll start
Yeah.
asking get the questions answered. What would you like to see from DOD to get the word out more to veterans about the VA loan?
I don't really know what's happening on base, so I could tell you I've been invited onto base through random circumstances and referrals. I was a part of top 3 briefing for about 30 airmen last week on JBLM, and top 3 is a nonprofit that directly supports airmen on base. And so it's base related, but it's also a private nonprofit. So it's like it's not a part of the DoD. It's totally outside of that. I don't know that there's anything directly being done at all, other than word of mouth from those that have done it before. So obviously there needs to be more education. I don't know on what level. Every base has depending on who the commanding leader is for that base, there's different rules for every base as far as who can come on and who can't. There's I don't know, there's a lot of regulation and rules, but at the end of the day, I think the veterans are suffering by, one, there's a massive housing crisis that's not being solved, and 2, nobody knows how to use their benefit that they've earned. So it is a major problem that I think can just be, having a monthly briefing that's standard for each unit on some level, talking about their benefit would be super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree, definitely with that. And I think that you gotta get the awareness out there. And I wish that I had somebody talk to me about the VA loan and the power it has. If I'm just a new airman starting off, or new soldier or sailor, what would you like to see? So like I'm saying, I'm coming to you, I'm a year in the military or 2 years in the military. What do you think a good starting point off would be for me?
A good starting point?
Yeah.
Information's free. I mean, just seek it. Don't be afraid to ask. Honestly, each service member is gonna have to ask. You got to raise your hand. If you don't raise your hand, nobody's coming to you telling you anything. So raise your hand, ask. Don't be afraid to ask. It doesn't cost, I give information free all day long. It doesn't cost you anything until you decide to move forward with a home. But just to understand what your options are. It'd be awesome if it was part of the recruiting process. Hey, guess what? When you sign up today, in 180 days or less, you're going to qualify for your VA home loan benefit. That could be like part of the recruiting process. Like that would, just planting the seed up front that there is a benefit there that is incredible, and maybe even get more recruits that way, just understanding that benefit up front.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so let's start with questions. Let's start with questions, man. So let me see the first question that we have. Okay, so did you answer the question from Peggy? She said when you leave your service, is in there okay, so I can't answer that one. There's not a lot of information that's out there when you first get out the military. I mean, and if it is, it's brushed over. It's not something it's out there, but it's not really a lot of awareness. Now, I think the difference between now, when I got out a couple of years ago, and now is more information out there. There's more groups, more military groups out there that talks about the VA loan and things like that. So I think that's the biggest difference from what I've seen, is that there's more awareness because there's more groups talking about it outside the military.
What about inside the military?
No.
They put you through a 6-week training to have you do whatever you do. I won't go into those details. We don't want to hear. Why don't you get like a 1 day or a 1 week of debrief to get back into society and to learn what the benefits are? We're already paying taxes to have these people train you one way. Wouldn't think it was that difficult to train you the other way.
Well,
I've heard.
Let me answer real quick. I would say it's just like, this is my opinion, so I can't say if represent the military on this one, but I would say it's just like anything else. Like when we go to school for people to be a worker.
That's
when
right.
you get out the military, they're setting you up to get a job. It's not setting you up for the game wealth or anything like that. Now they would say the VA loan is for a house, to buy a house, but there's not people like Andy talking about the advantages of doing it. It's just, hey, it's a no money down loan. Okay, cool. So there's not like people like him who is advocating doing a briefing to talk about the advantages, is all setting you up so that you can be a good citizen and have a job in the outside world. That's what it's set up. That's what the program is set up for, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
I've
isn't
had
having
other,
a home part of that?
just to elaborate on that too, Aaron and Peggy, I've had active service members say that they think part of the reason why there's so little information when they debrief you to go back to civilian life is that they're hoping that you re-enlist. They want it to be a little bit scary, so you sign up again. I don't know. That's just that's another theory, is that there's very little information on your way out, and they're, you know, hoping you stay.
Don't they bribe you for that? They bribed my brother. He enlisted 2 more times. He was a pilot. So I don't know.
Reality is there's zero education. You might know it's a 0 down loan and that's it. The underwriting for a VA loan is the most complicated of any loan out there. There's nothing that comes even close to as complicated as the VA loan. So the reality is most of your commanding officers don't know what it is. So they can't possibly educate on what it is because they don't know either. Like, I'm educating at the highest level. E8, E9 in the military, they don't know. Some do, very few do. And the reason being is that it's an incredibly flexible loan. There's rules, but not really. All the rules are kind of flexible and bendable. It's not like FHA or conventional where the rules are the rules and they don't bend. The VA loan is very bendable. So if you have a creative loan officer that loves solving problems and loves helping veterans, there's a lot that can be done that other people will say cannot be done. So there's a lot of misinformation in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. What's the next question? Okay, home is liability investment. Okay, Brendan asks, why is real estate the best investment? How do you make cash flow from your properties or home? Buy a fourplex and live in one?
Definitely. Good question. And it's long, it can be short term in a hot market. You can make 100,000 in 6 months or a year, like we've seen in the last 5 years. I mean, the gains were insane that were happening. Now we're in a buyer's market. So you're not going to see those gains. It's going to be more long term as far as equity gains. So people are going to get into investing. You're either thinking short term equity gain, want to buy a house, flip it, sell it, get out, or maybe keep it a year, sell it, get the equity and get out. Or most investors, well, there's a lot of fix and flip investors. That is an extremely profitable business. But most investors, I would say on average, are looking to keep and hold the property. And if you can break even on the mortgage, that's a win-win. Some investors are fine taking a loss every month, just knowing that they're going to hold it for 10, 15 years and get the equity gain. If you look at real estate over the last decade, the gains were just astronomical. God, you could be worth millions of dollars just on a couple properties in 10 years. So it's a long-term play for most investors. But if some properties do cash flow. So yeah, move it into a duplex, rent the other one, move into a threeplex, rent the other 2, move into a fourplex, rent the other 3, and get the other renters paying your mortgage. That's a really good way to go. And also available on VA. That's part of Aaron's big strategy is multifamily, and it's a heck of a way to go. So I do other loans outside of VA. So there's actually a really popular product right now in the investment space called a DSCR loan. It's a debt service ratio loan. This kind of blows my mind how easy this loan is. It is the easiest loan I've ever heard of. And all you need is a down payment, a FICO, a credit score, and an appraisal. And you can buy anything. There's no documents. It's a no doc loan for investors. As long as you got a 20% down payment, 20 to 30% depends on the strategy. And it appraises. You can get a loan anywhere in the country. So For self-employed borrowers where they're writing off a lot of their tax returns, they're not showing enough qualified income, or simply someone that wants a really easy loan ready to rock. For the most part, it's investors that don't have a lot of qualified income because they have really good tax accountants and they're writing everything off. Super easy loan to get.
Does income from the deal increase loan eligibility?
Yes, definitely. You can use rental income to qualify for your loan. And
Guess he'll be right back.
High School with a quick update.
Yeah, so I guess he'll be right back. Thank you guys for attending. So yeah, I just wanted to just, like I said, I think that the VA loan is such a powerful tool if it's done right. I mean, just imagine you can buy a fourplex up to 4 units, even a duplex, triplex, living in 1 unit for just 1 year.
There's no limit on the VA loan anymore?
No, so you
Oh,
can
good.
you can get a fourplex, live there for a year, after 1 year, get another VA loan, move out of that one fourplex, move to another fourplex, and now you have 8 tenants. Let's say 4 is paying your mortgage off, 4 is paying you. You get a property manager. And now you really don't have to deal with the tenants. You after another year, you can get another VA loan, so maybe 12 tenants. So I mean, it's a powerful tool. But Andy's back, so I'm not going to steal his done away from him.
yeah, sorry about that. 100% right. Yeah, and to further on the previous question, you can use rental income to qualify. So in the case of the veteran that bought the fourplex, his second VA loan, he only qualified for about $500,000 if he were to buy a single family residence, but he qualified for $900,000 on a fourplex because you get to use income from the other 3 properties as income to qualify for the loan, because the lender knows the moment you close on that loan, that income is yours. And so you get to use future income to qualify for the loan. It's pretty helpful. And that's true for outside of VA too. That's true for conventional. There's definitely some secret sauce on VA to do that more than once. Very few lenders across the entire country know how to do that. That's my niche, is helping multiple use VA.
What states are you working in, Andy?
Yeah, so Supreme corporate offices out of Dallas, Texas. Supreme's licensed in all 50 states. My branch is licensed in about 35 states, and I'm personally licensed in 5. We can help you anywhere in the country, whether it's me directly or somebody on my team. So the states I'm licensed in are Washington, Idaho, California, Texas, and South Carolina, all heavy military states.
Yep. Brendan asks, what about short income and medium term income? Do they count?
Income, great question. Income is the most complicated part of lending. You could have all the income in the world, but depends on the loan whether it's qualified income. So that question is fairly complicated to answer. What type of depends on the specifics of the income. So generally speaking, you look at it like this. If you're self-employed, you look at 2 years tax returns and then you average it. And the current year should not be declining income. If it's declining, you might not get any income as qualified income. Same is true for commission income. You look at 2 years tax returns and the current year should be stable or increasing. If it's declining commission income, then you don't have any qualified income. It gets really complicated. If you're hourly, same deal, 2-year average, you should have a stable 40-hour work week. If your hours are decreasing, it's going to be hard to justify that you have a stable 40-hour work week. So the underwriter might give you less income. If you're Uber or Lyft, those are considered self-employed incomes. It takes 2 years on your tax returns in order to utilize that income as qualified income. The easiest income all day long is salary. You could not even have a job. You could be graduating college and have a job that starts in 60 days and you can get a loan because salary is guaranteed income. And as long as that income starts within 60 days of your loan closing, you can use that income to qualify. And there's many other layers and rules depending on whether it's a jumbo loan, whether it's a VA loan, whether it's an FHA loan. There's a lot of rules on income on every loan. It's actually quite complicated.
Andy, where can they find you at?
Easiest way is you can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. I'll put my contact information in the chat. Text is the easiest way to catch me. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, anybody have questions for Andy?
I'll put that in the text spot now. Duckworth, let's see, 425.
Up until today, I didn't know his name was Andrew. I don't know his name was Andy until today.
We found out the hard way.
I know, right? And just to let you know, Peggy, since you saw me in real life, Andy is actually an inch taller than me.
No, really? Oh my. Whew. I feel like a midget when I'm standing next to you guys. My brothers are tall too, but I know you guys are taller than my brothers. And there's the short ones. I mean, the tall one's 6'7". Oh.
I used to be 6'6". I'm starting to shrink already. I'm like 6'5" now. It's weird.
Oh man, earlier he says he's 6'5" and he think he's shrinking. He didn't say 6. Oh, Andy.
I was 6'6", but I'm not anymore. I'm already shrinking.
I'll pull your shoulders back and you'll measure back up.
Yeah, I don't know. Where are you at, Peggy?
I'm in Sierra Madre, which is just east of Pasadena, California.
Oh, okay. Nice. Yeah, I grew up in San Diego. I'm a Cali boy.
Oh, nice, beautiful.
Actually, but been in Washington over 20 years now. So
enjoy the rain.
Well,
yeah,
it's funny too. He was talking during our lunch. He was saying, like when I visit now, I love visiting San Diego.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. You grow up, doesn't matter if it's been 5 years or 25 years, the memories just come flooding back when you visit your childhood tromping grounds.
Yeah. Are there a lot of veterans working for Boeing?
Yes, 10% of the whole used to be 20%, but I think about 10%, maybe 12% of all employees in Boeing are veterans.
Well, that's not a bad market to have, Andy.
I love it. It's recession proof too. The war machine will always go on no matter what's happening in the economy.
Unfortunately, that is so.
I would say, yeah.
And
military,
you're a veteran also?
healthcare, and tech. Those are all probably the 3 safest. But at the end of the day, I enjoy helping veterans, and it's just incredibly underserved. So I think the biggest pain point.
What'd you ask?
I asked Mr. International if he has anything.
I wanted, hey Andy, thank you for the presentation. I'm not a veteran, but you're talking about a DSCR loan.
Yeah.
Is that for multifamily or just for residential?
Anything. Actually, you can go commercial on that too. It's crazy. It's so easy. You only need an appraisal and a down payment, and I mean you need a credit score. So 3 things. And as long as the appraisal, when you buy an investment property, it's standard. It's called a 1007D, which is your rent schedule. So the appraiser will tell the lender what the rent market value is on that property. And you use that number against your PITI, your mortgage payment. And as
Right.
long as the rent schedule is equal to the principal and interest, then you qualify. So you figure you got 20 to 40% down, and it's a 1-to-1 ratio on qualifying, and it doesn't even include taxes and insurance. Some of the products is just principal and interest. So it's super easy for an investor to get in and get qualified and be done.
You said 20 to 40% down though?
20 is the minimum.
20 is the minimum, okay.
Mhm.
Well, in these times, I hear people put up 40%, so.
These times what?
So in these times, I hear people like syndicators are raising more money because they need more money down. Number 20%, almost 25, 30, 40, 35%.
You get the better rates, the higher the down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, less risk for the investor, because you got to think it's an incredibly risky loan for the lender, for the bank,
Mm-hmm.
because there's no income. Like, you don't even need a job. Like, there's no there's nothing. It's just a credit score and a down payment. So
Mm-hmm.
so you do pay a higher interest rate for the loan, of course. The
Right,
risk
of course,
the
yeah.
risk is built into the pricing.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet.
Well, Andy, man, thank you so much, man. It's been a great journey today, hanging out with you, having lunch with you. And you know, you continue to get back to our veterans and give out great information to them. Man, thank you so much, and thank you for being so reliable as well. And you know, if you guys want a free consultation to talk about the VA loan, that's the man to talk to. You know, you can do it on Zoom with him or on a phone call. So thank you, Andy, so much, man. And I hope we can do business in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me, Aaron. And thanks for all the good questions, guys. Those were solid. Yeah, very confusing space, so it's good to ask.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm going to stop the recording. And I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming. Next week, I will have a fellow veteran, somebody I serve with, somebody I personally know who just started as a real estate agent in Illinois. My personal friend Sean Lax. Really excited to talk about his journey, where he's came from, the struggles that he had to go through, and where he's going at right now. So I'm very, very excited to have Sean as my guest speaker. So thank you once again to Andy, and we'll see you guys next week. God bless you.